Hi everyone, how are you? Happy Monday. It's weird. I'm used to doing stuff on Friday, so I'm like, oh, that's right. It's Monday. It's Monday. What is on or has been on your agenda to kick off this week? It is cloudy and it looks like it's threatening thunderstorms here, and it's just like thick with humidity, which is not normal for Ashland. We're up in the mountains here in Southern Oregon, so usually it's really dry, like almost like a desert. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I want to know how your Monday's going. I also would love to hear how you're feeling about our collaboration so far. What do you enjoy about it? Are there other things you want to do with this? So many questions running through my mind. Oh, it's hot. Everybody's saying it's hot. Oh, sorry, Facebook isn't being nice to you, Lillian. Sometimes that's the way it goes. I will always, of course, post these again in the group after the fact. So if you have technical glitches or any issues, you can always come back and find it later. And I will also, my tech guy, will also share the actual pages like last week so that you can go back and read through them for your assignments. Okay, let's see. I want to tell you that this week your assignment was so great and you came up with such fantastic ideas. A ghostwriter. I never thought of that either. That was brilliant. I can't remember whose suggestion it was, but claim it if it was yours because I love it. Yeah. Oh, sorry that you've had a blah day. I know, I feel like with COVID, Lillian, and I don't know if this is true for everybody else who is experiencing long-term lockdowns, I will go through phases where I do kind of have that blahness myself, and then it lasts for a little while and I kind of pick myself up. For me, definitely distractions like this are a good thing. I have found when I'm working on new projects or I'm doing anything that's even remotely creative, I tend to be able to get myself in a better space. But I also think it's important to honor it when we are in those blah spaces because that's totally normal too, and it's okay. And Genevieve says there are so many geniuses out there. I know. Don't feel intimidated. Remember, this is supposed to be a space where we are building each other up in terms of our creative ideas. So I love the collaboration because I feel like what happens is we build on each other's ideas, right? So that's my little tidbit for the day. Okay, so without further ado, are you ready for, I keep wanting to say a brunch with death because we spent so much time on that project. Final draft part 2. I have to read the last sentence of where we left off just so that everybody kind of like centers ourselves back in the story. And then we'll move on to part 2. Okay, so this is where we last left off. It's like those radio serial shows that used to happen, okay? As the door opened, a gust of wind blew in, followed by, there's where we need our sound effects, dum, 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 followed by a man who appeared as if he had stepped straight out of the pages of an old Western novel. His scuffed, muddy cowboy boots had seen their fair share of work. An oversized cowboy hat shielded his eyes from view. He took no notice of the crowd. Rather than sneaking into one of the open seats in the back row, he went straight toward the podium. Bertie clutched his stein. "Butch, I didn't know you were coming." He didn't sound pleased with the late arriving guest. Butch, how fitting, I thought, giving Sloan a side eye. She shrugged, matching my bewilderment. "Hey, I need a top off." Bertie raised his heavy stein to signal me. I grabbed a growler and went to refill his glass. Butch blocked the aisle. He stood with his feet in a wide stance, as if he was ready to lasso a herd of cattle. "Glad you could make it, my friend," Bertie said through clenched teeth. "I'm about to take a brief break before I take questions. Why don't you come have a nice drink with me?" Butch didn't respond. I cleared my throat. "Excuse me." Butch whipped his head around. What? Just trying to get through to give Mr. Shaw a refill. I showed him the growler. Mr. Shaw? That's a good one. Butch moved less than an inch to the side to make room, I guess, for me to pass by. Get my friend a drink too, Bertie commanded, while I angled the pewter stein and slowly poured our hoppy fall beer. Pouring a pint takes years of practice. I'd learned the key is to let the beer lead you, not the other way around. You're not writing War and Peace here, Bernie snarled at my technique. Pour the damn beer already. As a renowned food and beer expert, I was shocked by his response. Someone of his caliber must understand the delicate art of ensuring a craft beer didn't end up a frothy, foamy mess. The crowd mumbled behind us. Gretchen took over the mic. Folks, I think this is a perfect time to take a short break. You can stretch your legs, browse our wonderful fall section. There are even some sneak peeks of what's to come with our holiday line. And of course, be sure to sample the delectable Bavarian beers and pastries in the back. Everyone began to move about. Bertie and Butch remained locked in a schoolyard staring contest. Gretchen attempted to intervene. She somehow had procured another pint glass and handed it to me. Garrett, would you mind pouring a beer for Bertie's friend? Friend! Butch chuckled, but there was nothing lighthearted or happy in his tone. I'm not his friend, I'm his ghostwriter. Bertie went white. He glanced around as if trying to determine whether anyone had heard. Butch, let's go get those pints somewhere more private. He started to move toward the back of the store. You're welcome to use my office, Gretchen offered. It's unlocked. Make yourself at home. I need to go ring up some customers. As Butch and Bertie headed toward the office, Josh removed his camera from the tripod and was zooming the lens onto the two men. You're here too? Butch tilted his cowboy hat ever so slightly, revealing a weathered face and staunch jawline. It's like a reunion. They all knew each other? Get that camera out of my face. Bertie threw his hand in front of the lens, sloshing beer on Gretchen's gleaming hardwood floors. This isn't Food Swing. Josh ignored him, keeping the camera propped on his shoulder and following Bertie and Butch until they slammed the door to Gretchen's office. Food Swing, I asked. Yeah, it was a low-budget reality cooking show that Bertie and I worked on together in Seattle a few years ago. This was before he became the legendary cookbook author Bertie Shaw. He walked me to the beer station. Can I get a drink? Sure. I reached for a tasting glass and poured him a sample. Sloan was expertly passing around tasters of our pumpkin ale, cherry IPA, Hoptoberfest, and a special holiday ale we were debuting tonight, a dark chocolate German stout with notes of toasted coconut. What was the show? It was originally going to be called something else, but the crew used to joke behind Bertie's back that he was having another one of his food swings. It stuck. He hated it, but there was nothing he could do. Josh simped the pumpkin ale. He hated the show or the name? Both. Bertie had an ego the size of Texas, and he thought he was better than the rest of us. Josh took another drink of the beer. This is good. Samantha, who was working her way through handing out plates filled with her assortment of desserts, leaned over and added, Tell me about it. I was hired as a food stylist for the show, and I used to have so many Bertie stories for my staff. He thought he was the Ina Garten or Julia Childs. Food Swing had an audience of tens, as in 10 people. Josh laughed. Totally. Sloan scrunched her forehead. I must have missed something. Me too. I looked to Josh, then to Samantha. You both worked on the show with Bertie. They nodded. You jealous? Josh made a face. And what about the cowboy who interrupted the talk? Sloan asked, voicing what I was already thinking. He worked on the show too? Not just the show, Josh replied. He's been Birdie's ghostwriter for years. How does a cookbook author end up with a ghostwriter? Sloan poured the last of the chocolate stout and reached into the cooler for another growler. And a food stylist, for that matter. At that moment, the lights flickered. A few gasps sounded. Ooh, we should all do that. Ooh. Are you doing it with me? You better be. Okay. For a moment, I thought we might lose power entirely, but then they hummed on again. Samantha tidied the remaining row of desserts. Oh, there is so much I could tell you about Birdie. How much time do you have? Yeah, seriously, Josh agreed. The man is a living legend for all the wrong reasons. Like what? The lights flashed again. And this time they what? What happened? Oh, how you guys feeling about it? It's coming together. A ghostwriter. I mean, I am very intrigued by the fact that a cookbook author who specializes in beerish food would have a ghostwriter or a food stylist. I didn't see that one coming either. I love how the story comes together because I don't know what's going to happen either. Sometimes when I sit down to write pages, it's just like, Butch, who's this guy showing up in a cowboy hat? And what's his backstory? I don't know, but I'm excited to find out. We're going to find it out together. Okay, are you ready for your assignments, plural? Okay, the first thing, and I suspect that you already have a thought on this, the first thing I want you to come up with is, this time the lights did what? Okay, so we just ended with the fact that the lights flickered. There were a few gasps. For a minute, Garrett thought that power might go out entirely, but then boom, they hummed on again. But then the lights flashed again. Okay, so the lights have flashed again. Why? What did the lights do? What has happened? Are we in pitch dark now? Has a storm knocked out power? Has someone cut the power? I don't know. I'm not going to plant anything in there. This is up to you. That's your assignment number 1. I want you to think about that. Assignment number 2 is, what does Samantha tell Garrett about Birdie? Samantha says she has so many things she could tell Garrett about Birdie. How much time does he have? Well, I don't know. How much time do you have? Because that's what I want you to figure out next. Now, don't actually put those thoughts in the comments here on the live, because like I said, pages are going to be posted again soon. So it will be easier if you share your thoughts and ideas on the pages. That way, for anyone who's not on the live and who may have missed it, they'll have an opportunity to comment and share their thoughts and suggestions too. So once we wrap this up, the pages, the new part 2 will go up, and that's where I want you to be thinking about that. As always, what's going to happen is you all start to come up with ideas, especially with what Samantha has to tell. There might be an opportunity to pick a few of those. Maybe it's not just going to be one thing this week. Maybe we're going to have a few collective things that Samantha can tell Garrett about Birdie. I don't know. We'll have to see how it shakes out. But you have a couple days to put those in, and then I will share them out for a vote again for both choices. Okay, I love that you are all loving the chocolate stout. I was, as I was working on these pages, I was drooling over holiday recipes because, believe it or not, I'm already starting to think ahead. I don't know why, to the holidays, but I also thought because this short that we're working on is set during the fall and it's late fall, that, you know, the bookstore would probably be wanting to get everybody excited about the holiday shopping. And Leavenworth definitely has an amazing winter Christmas village and market that I don't think sadly is happening this year, but I will share pictures of earlier with the year. Cindy, you didn't see a ghostwriter either. I know, I had no idea, but I'm loving it. And I can't wait to see what it is that's gonna play out with that. I also, just from the mystery perspective, I think we have all of our suspects now. Birdie's going back into the room where we know the murder may occur based on what we had come up with at the beginning of this process. So I think it's shaping up nicely. I can't wait to see what you all come up with next. It's so much fun for me. Are you still having fun with this process? I hope so. Arzani says this should be a full-length book. I know, what's really funny is I'm about to work on edits. Do I have it right in front of me? Oh, I do. Look at this. I'm about to work on edits. This is my so lovely editing process for book 5 of Sloan. I'm going to start these in the next few days. And I'm thinking, oh no, I'm going to have this story in my head. Birdie might end up somehow in book 5. And then you'll all know. It'll be like an Easter egg. Okay, so I'll be excited for you to come up with that. Make sure you put your thoughts for both of your assignments this week into the post with the pages that will be coming soon once we wrap up our live. I also want to share, gingerbread stout, says Jeanette. I don't think I've ever had a gingerbread stout. That could be delicious. The tech guy says he has, and what did you think? He says, maybe not. I think that could be delicious. And maybe we'll all have to try to find something like that. If you're not a beer drinker, maybe we'll have to find for our last reading, like we did with brunch, we'll have to find some delicious Bavarian treats and drinks to have. Like a spiced cider would be delicious. A pumpkin spice latte. By the time we wrap this one up, it will be full-fledged fall. So we can go all in with our fall deliciousness. Okay, yay. I'm so glad you're still enjoying it, Lillian. That makes me happy. I'm loving it too. Okay, in other news, are you ready for this? A Brunch with Death is finally up on my website. Yay. Yep, you can go download a PDF on my website. It is also in process on Kindle, so I'm just waiting for final approval. It said it could take up to 72 hours, but as soon as it's up and live on Kindle, I will share that out here in the group and also on my main page. But if you want to go snag a PDF of the Brunch with Death that we did this spring, feel free to go do that on my website. I believe we can also post it in the group, so let me know in the comments here if you're interested in having it posted in the group too, because I can certainly do that. Helen, you're having fun. Gretchen, you're having fun too. Yay. Yay, yay, yay. I'm having fun, and I still feel like I need distractions. So as long as you all are game and you need distractions as well, I say let's forge ahead with our story collaborations. Also coming up on future lives on my main page, this Friday for my 5 things, I'm going to do a 5 things about what you should be doing right now if you want to write a book. And I know that some of you in this group are working on mysteries. I know some of you have already written mysteries, so this will be a great one for you. And then I have a lineup of some more mystery writers, some of my author friends who I'm going to be super excited to introduce you to for the next couple months. So Hannah Dennison is joining me in 2 Fridays. She is a dear, dear friend of mine, and we might have a hard time staying on topic because she moved back home to England a couple years ago, and we keep in touch via FaceTime and Zoom calls, but I haven't talked to her for a few weeks, so I'll probably be wanting to catch up, but we'll just do like a group catch up. No, we'll do 5 things. And then I have Audrey and Jenny and Abby and Leslie lined up and more authors coming. So if you're needing Friday morning distractions or you want to watch those after the fact, the same thing will be true. I will always post them after the fact on my Facebook page. Let's see, I think that's it for this week's live for our group. Does anyone have any questions about the process? Do you need any clarification? It's always a little bit of a delay, so I'll give it a minute to respond. Also, is it working for you in this group format? You're all seeing it? And are you liking the polls to be able to vote that way, to be able to see in real time? I know it's been a lot easier on my end, selfishly, because I had just found actually, where are they? I'd found my old notes from when we were doing a Brunch with Death, and I would go in and like tally everything, you know, so it was a lot of, let me zoom in. Can you see that? It was a lot of like, okay, the chef gets this many votes, and I was going back and forth. So for me, it's been nice to be able to have the polls and see everything in real time. I've also been surprised at how quickly some things have been like the clear runaway winner. I don't feel like anything thus far has been super close. I know that we're early in the process, but I do think that's interesting, just that so far we've had some very clear front runners with everything that's being pulled. Good. Oh, Jeanette's finding it easier. Good. Arzani wants to know when does the murder happen? Could it be now when the lights go out? Absolutely. I mean, I think a lights out murder is always fantastic if we take anything from Sherlock or perhaps an Agatha Christie style. I know that early on I talked about the fact that I thought it would be fun to work in a storm. That didn't actually come up as one of the things that we voted on, but when you all were talking about seasons, everyone was saying like some kind of crazy fall winter storm. So I'm thinking that the lights could have something to do with that, but there are other ways that I can work a storm in if that's not how it goes. I also think because this is a short, we are at like, let's see, how many pages are we at so far? Let me check it out. 11. We're 11 pages in. We are going to shoot for probably 50 pages again. That's what brunch ended up, I think, maybe being more like 60 with the recipes. But somewhere between, let's say, 45 and 60 pages will be our target goal for the short. So we're going to want to get to the body pretty soon. I think in brunch, if I recall, it was about the next phase, part 3, where the murder happened. So you can and definitely should be thinking murder already, for sure. Good. Oh, good. And Tina says you're liking the polls. Gretchen says the process is working. Oh, and Arzani's already going all in for murder. I love it. You all are the best. This is so much fun. I have a feeling that this week's conversation could get spicy. Dun, 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 says Renee. I know. I feel like I just need to go around with dun, dun, dun in my brain. Oh, and I think that's a mic drop for the night. Okay, thanks as always for being here with me on a live. I hope that your Monday and week are off to a great start. I can't wait to see what you come up with your 2 assignments. Make sure you share those once the pages are shared. Go download a copy of Brunch. I will share it as soon as it's live up on Kindle, which hopefully should be within the next day or 2. And yeah, I'll see you in the group and join me again on Friday to talk about all things writerly. Okay, have a great week, everybody. More sound effects to come.